Hey there, and welcome everybody to joining us today with Talking Shit with Heather. Special guest Isabella Braveheart. I cannot wait to get to chat with this woman more one-on-one. We were on a summit about a month or two ago together, and I met her for the first time, and then really been diving deep into her work as I signed up with Jolie Dawn's Dare to Prosper challenge, and then into her Creatrix calling, and then so got to see you speak just last week, on that call. And so I just got introduced to you, and then now it seems like you're everywhere. You're everywhere. But today's episode, talking shit with Heather. So why talking shit? So there's two meanings for the title, right? Sometimes it's tongue in cheek, right? Because I do get other practitioners on here, and sometimes we'll talk about coffee enemas, and we'll talk about parasites, and we'll talk about poo, right? Because it's what we need to measure health with. But then other reasons we talk shit is I want to bring our shit story out into the light, right? That's when we can heal. That's when we can break a lot of this trauma, the healing journey, right? So when we bring that stuff to light, then we can heal it. It's out of the darkness. And so I found that a lot of folks that are in this kind of space, right, helping others, they have their own shit story to bring. And I'd love to bring that story. I love people connecting and saying, God, I thought I was alone all these years. I didn't realize there's other people out there who experience, these things. They're just not talked about enough. And so nothing's off topic here, right? We don't get in trouble for cussing or talking about taboo subjects. Like, it's all welcome. And so today I want to welcome Isabella Braveheart. Thank you so much for saying yes and being on Talking Shit with Heather today.
Thank you for inviting me. I love to talk shit, so I'm in the right place.
I know. The minute I met you, I was like, oh my God, we have to talk shit together.
She's got some shit to talk about.
I know you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of what you're doing now in the world.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me here. And I love what you have created with this podcast. I think there's so much really beautiful shit to talk about. And as we all know, shit is also the compost for new life to grow. So may we compost our shit to have extraordinary flowers and beauty emerge from it, which I think is the essence of what you are talking about, what you have done with your own life and what those that you bring on have done. So so I am a self-expression coach, and that looks like many different things in the world. But on a broader level, that looks like engaging people in radical, unapologetic truth-telling and self-expression in a way that is right for them. And we've all got different stories around what we should do or shouldn't do or should say or shouldn't say. And unapologetic self-expression is finding the deepest truth of you, whether that's in your work in the world and your voice, whether that's on stage, whether that is in intimate partnership, whether that is expressing your sexuality, whether that is being honest in your family in a way perhaps you never have been before, or taking on bigger levels of business and the expression there, and also specifically in the world of creativity and arts. So we are all self-expressionists. It's a matter of how do we like that expression to come forth. And my joy is in supporting and stewarding the fullest expression of humans to come online.
That is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, you're already blowing my mind, and we're just like a couple minutes into it. I knew this was going to be good. So how do you become a self-expression coach? Like, is that something you wake up one day and you're just like, I want to be a self-expression coach? Like, where does that come from?
Well, that's a great question. It comes very organically and emergently, and I didn't even know that was a thing, actually. I just realized all of a sudden that's what I was doing. And so I started calling myself that. So my journey is very much a composting shit story. Very, very much. I mean, the roots are, I'm sure you get a lot of play on words with the whole talking shit thing. So I won't go crazy there, but it's certainly my Dharma was birthed out of darkness, and again and again. And back when I was younger, I had no plans. I didn't know what a self-expression coach was, let alone plan to be one. I didn't have any sense of where I was going or what I was doing. And it was through the process of healing my own darkness, which in many ways, it feels dark. For those of you that have been in the underworld, that feels really dark. And I have such a beautiful reverence for that place as well. It's such a sacred space to be in, the transmutation of some of the densest energies into some of the lightest, most freeing energies. And specifically for me, it was in the form of sexual trauma when I was a little girl. And that came from both my father and an older gentleman who was a neighbor, and just perpetuated my choices from that point on, and then created a lot more havoc than perhaps needed to be. And that showed up in the form of dropping out of school, of being very rebellious, of heavily participating in drugs and partying and a lot of sex, and with people that I did not know very well. And there, for many, many years through my teens and my early 20s, there was not there wasn't really a light at the end of the tunnel. I wasn't connected to certainly anything that we are talking about. In fact, I am someone that I used to make fun of in
Me
many ways.
too.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I used to say that, like, I am the person that 20 years ago I would have sought out and beat the shit out of. Like, that's yeah.
Absolutely berated.
Yep.
Absolutely berated for being soft and talking about feelings and being vulnerable. I would have
Damn
hated me.
hippies.
Yeah. I would have hated me. And this is the irony, though, is that I also needed me. And I think that I might have mentioned this on when I spoke recently on Jolie's thing, that if I had actually had someone like me that got my experience and understood where I had been and what I was struggling with, it would have been a game changer for me. I didn't have mentors like that. There weren't models like that. There just wasn't happening. It was a different time and it wasn't around. And for those that were, I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't hearing it. It wasn't landing. But it was very much through the journey of healing that sexual trauma, those years of just being out of control and partying and having no boundaries and no North Star, nothing to guide me. I think there's I think they tease the 90s generation of just being like party animals. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that, but it kind of, I mean, it definitely fits me. I had the same, not same, but similar story and daddy issues. And I ended up on a pole for 6 years, so
I started on a pole.
I did so
at 16.
Oh, geez. No, yeah. I was 19, but I was from a very small country background, and man, I'm glad I didn't start any earlier, because those girls ate me up and spit me out. Like, it was kind of hilarious when you think back out of it, what a country bumpkin I was in the strip clubs, and these girls, these hardcore girls. Those girls will fuck you.
They don't they don't care.
No, they do not.
Not all of them, but there is a stereotype that is real. There's a stereotype that is real. That is true. Yeah. Yeah, I know that world well. And that world was definitely a reflection of this inner turmoil and contributed to more turmoil. And then, very much by accident, I have an interesting full cycle story where I started acting. I mean, what you call acting, when I was 5 years old. I loved being on stage. I loved being in the school plays. I loved doing all the things. And then I actually moved to LA when I was 17 to pursue a career in like the big screen. And I was going to be an actress in Hollywood and the whole thing. And I made one horrible B-grade movie. And I mean, horrible. It was called Cell Block Sisters, and it was a bunch of naked women in prison. It was just awful. And that was the stint. That was the end of it. And then I partied my face off. Full circle, come all these years later, I ended up back on stage now, but from writing and producing and performing my own story. And I needed to live all of that life in order to get to where I was actually supposed to be, which was creating and performing my own art, not being cast as an actress in somebody else's art. Amen. And that was what's that?
I said, amen.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I've been going. I'll take a break and
No. This
let you
is,
chime.
this is you. You've got, I mean, such an incredible story. And that's part of the reason why I asked is, when we got placed together for Laura's summit, it was kind of a dark night of the soul, type folks, people who've taken that horrible shit story and have, turned it and transmuted into something beautiful. And now we're here, like I said, trying to shine light and bring others along and learn from all the craziness that we have gone through, and I thank God every day that I'm still standing, because the situations that I put myself in back when I was a dancer and back when I was doing drugs and drinking, and I mean, I don't know how I'm alive, besides the fact that my guardian angels were working like overtime trying to keep my silly ass, alive. And then all the times I try to keep, take myself out, right?
Yeah.
Into the
Yeah.
psych ward for suicide attempts, like,
Mm-hmm.
because with all that dysfunction, I developed, 27 years of undiagnosed Lyme disease and Hashimoto's and celiac and
Mm-hmm.
endometriosis,
Mm-hmm.
all the things. And so that's what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love and have so much admiration for folks who can do more of like the performing arts and the spiritual emotional component to it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm hugely jealous of people who have those gifts, because I just haven't quite figured out how to tap into a lot of them for me. But that's why I like talking with people who are different than me on these things, is so
Mm-hmm.
it can bring a different perspective to other folks.
Yeah. And one of the things that I say about that is that we've all got our natural talents for sure. I mean, when people say, if you can talk, you can sing, I'm like, bullshit, right? You might, but you don't sound good. Okay. So let's just be real about that. So I don't pretend that everyone can do everything. I don't sing, but I do perform. But what I will say about that is that if you have a story, you have got something to perform on stage, period, no matter what. And that's part of the work that I do. And what I love to do is I help people take their stories and turn them into performance art as a monologue or a poem or a spoken word to be read on stage. And it is phenomenal. And I have worked
Scary as
with
fuck.
people. What's that?
That sounds scary as fuck.
It's scary as fuck, and it is the most liberating thing you could do for yourself. It's extraordinary. I've worked with people who similarly felt like, I have no idea what that even means. I don't even know, but I want something. I want that. I want to try that. And I'm telling you, magic happens because our stories, we lived our stories. We didn't perform our stories, we lived them. And so that life that's already inside of you then just gets translated into your own words on a script on stage and delivered in a way that is already there. It's already alive. And of course, it's not quite that simple, right? I support to do, but it really is. So I'm just planting that seed. If you ever decide I want to explore that and play a little in that world, you know where to find me.
I think that would be incredible. I like you, when I was younger, I was in band. I used to be in choir. I can't sing now. I can't play an instrument now, but it always bums me out because I like being on stage. The stage actually doesn't make me afraid. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the camera. But I don't feel like I have any gifts or talents to do something like that. So I'll become a speaker. And I had my first paid speaking gig 2 weeks ago, which was amazing. I nailed it.
Yay.
But man, to be able to tell my story on stage, like that's quite fascinating. You've got the wheels turning.
Yeah, I will. I'll keep you posted. I'll be doing a program in September that is specifically for that. And it is extraordinary. It really is, because the way I see what I'll call embodied storytelling or performative storytelling or transformational storytelling is, when I wrote, so I have a one-woman show that I toured internationally a few years ago, and it's all about my life, and it's literally about the shit and how the process of composting that shit into beauty. But a lot of it is about the shit, and particularly about the years that I shared with you about. And the process of writing that script, I had written already some monologues about my sexual trauma prior to that, and I began to see the healing modality that this was, that what I was healing in sitting down and writing my story, and writing is one kind of medicine, reading is one kind of medicine, performing is one kind of medicine, singing is another kind of medicine. They each have their own aspect of their own pinprick into the healing, or acupuncture point.
Mm.
And as I began to write, I began to see, holy shit, I am making sense of myself and my story and my healing in a way that no therapy has ever touched. This is phenomenal.
Mm.
And I mean, it's a commitment, and you put yourself into this sacred temple of healing, and it's challenging and it's confronting and it's beautiful. And so the writing process was extraordinary. Then the standing on stage and sharing myself, and believe me, it was terrifying for me too. Terrifying. But the purpose was stronger. The purpose was
Mm.
stronger than the fear.
Absolutely.
And the transmission and being witnessed in the story and received in the story is another kind of medicine. And then the third, and not final, is what the audience receives.
Mm.
That's medicine that we don't even know we're giving. And then all of a sudden you have this room full of people that have been deeply, deeply, deeply impacted, moved, touched, inspired by your shit, because they see their shit in your shit. And I actually, I had a woman that I worked with. I think I maybe mentioned this on the first summit that you and I did together. She actually had Lyme disease, and she had suffered from it for, I think, 15 years, suffered. And we did a whole one-woman show for her about her Lyme disease. And, Lyme is pretty niche, if you will. Not a lot of people have it. Not a lot of people understand it. Not a lot of people know anything about it. And we created and performed her show, and almost everyone in that audience had a transformational experience, because pain is pain is pain, suffering is suffering, suffering, fear is fear is fear, discomfort is discomfort is discomfort. When I performed my show, I thought it was going to exclude half of the audience, men, because my issues were so feminine centric in nature. Not so.
Right.
Massive healing for both men and women, because we relate to the things the way we need to. And so in sharing your story, there are so many men, women, children, I think we can even argue other kinds of genders, that are waiting to hear your particular journey or particular struggle. And I know we talk about that in the speaking world, and in the performing world, it's just a different flavor, because the full embodiment comes online. Fear, anger, rage, sadness, joy, it all gets to be seen in a way that speaking just doesn't quite bring to life.
Mm.
So it's really a multiple directional healing modality, which that's what I love about it.
No, that kind of makes sense. I remember when I was first going through my healing journey with Lyme disease, right after getting diagnosed, and I would get downloaded with these downloads, and I was like compelled to put it on video. Like, I had no idea why, and it literally wouldn't stop until I did. And then I would. And then, of course, a lot of my family, a lot of my friends, what the fuck are you doing? Are you crazy? What are you, an attention whore? What the hell are you doing? Airing your dirty laundry and whatever it is you're going through. But then I'd have those few people that would hit me up, message, right? I thought I was alone. I thought I was crazy. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, I now feel, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that's why I'm doing this, right?
That's right.
And then also being witnessed, right? And then it was a certain type of healing for me. So it was this beautiful full circle, right, of putting stuff out there and healing for them, for myself, for them and myself. And but so I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do you need any kind of, like, I don't know, I keep thinking of like acting skills type things. Like, how does that look? Because you say it's different than speaking. So
it's a great question. So there's a flavor. I like to use the word performance. I don't like to use the word acting, because acting suggests that you're taking on an identity or a personality that's not yours. And whereas performing, it's you're bringing who you are to life. You're bringing your story to life and expressing it maybe a bit amplified than you would on the street with someone. But really, when we look at life is fucking dramatic. Life is dramatic. When you're filled with fear, when you're filled with rage, when you're filled with joy, it's dramatic. We just bring what we already do, and then we do it to a script. So yes, there are certain skills and things that I support to have that process be even more impactful. Um, but the key is getting in touch with your own experience and being willing to be fully seen and witnessed in that experience. And that's the scary part. That's the scary part. It's some scary shit. I will be fully honest about that. It is some scary shit. There is, I mean, acting is actually safer because you're showing someone else's shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is Maggie Smith shit. But this is my stuff and I'm letting myself be fully seen. And you know what? It is the most beautiful connecting I find over and over again. And this isn't even new news, that the things we fear the most that we'll be judged for are the things that create the most connection. And we see it over and over and over and over again.
Absolutely. It never fails. Anytime I start to get triggered by something, someone, fearful, once I can get my wits about me, I know damn well that's the direction I'm supposed to be going into, because that's where the gifts lie. That's where the beauty is, on the other side, right? Of at least that layer of the onion. I don't think we ever totally get on the other side. There's always something coming up.
I hope not. I hope we don't ever get on the other side.
Right.
Because I hope there's always, something keeping it's what I call following the puke. The things that make me want to throw up, I'm gonna go in that direction.
Following the puke.
Follow the puke.
Oh, God.
Before I go on stage, it's better now, but when I first started performing my stuff, I don't know how much better it is now. I still get pretty nervous, but when I first started writing my own work, I was so petrified, so mortified. I didn't think I could speak. I thought like I was just going to vomit. Like the only thing that's going to come out of my mouth is vomit. That's it. And then of course it doesn't, but that's the direction to go in, because that feeling of wanting to throw up is like, this is real. This is true. This means something. This fear is a gauge of how relevant this is, how aligned this is, how big I want to play. So yes, following the puke is, my clients know me for that. I'm going to follow. What kind of puke are you going to follow today?
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So do you have anything, you said you got something coming up in September. Do you have anything that you're working on right now that you'd like to plug, or how can people get a hold of you if they want to know more?
Thank you. Thank you for asking. Yeah, in September we'll share more about this new program. It's not actually a new program, but about what I'll be offering. I'm in the middle of a couple of things right now. The best way to contact me is through social media, Isabella Braveheart. All the things are on my website, isabellabraveheart.com. And right now I'm available for private coaching. My group is full right now, and we are mid-group. I have a 9-month program called Express, which is amazing. And I'll share a little bit about you. It's not open for enrollment right now, but it will be again. We go through a different theme each month around radical self-expression, unapologetic truth-telling, and we kind of do the arc, the rainbow of human experience. And it is juicy and powerful and confronting and expressive. And each month is something really new. And we really dive into what it's like to be an expressed human being in the world, a radically, unapologetically expressed human being in the world. To not be afraid of your own truth, to not be afraid of your own desire, to not be afraid of your own voice, to not be afraid of your own mission and purpose, and how people will react or won't react. And it's a really fun container. It'll be opening again next year, but keep your eyes out for that.
That sounds absolutely incredible. And hopefully by then, with everything that Jolie's teaching me, I'm going to be manifesting and making all kinds of money. So by then I will definitely be ready for a program like yours, because no, that sounds amazing.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And the thing that we realize too is that, in the whole world of self-expression and storytelling and all of it, is we're all doing the same thing. We really are. We're all trying to figure out how to be happier, how to deal with our shit, how to not have our limiting beliefs stop us in life, how to do the thing that really matters to us, and how to have deep, loving connections with other human beings in the world. And I noticed that when we start to focus on expression, it really reveals that our expressions are all uniquely different, but we're all actually in desire and service of the same thing. And in that space, it gives more space for expression to come online.
That's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for everything. And that was just, man, I can't believe the time just flew by. That was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I'll be putting all that stuff in the show notes when this comes out. And again, I just thank you so much for coming on, and everybody have a healthy day.
Enjoy your day. Bye bye. Thank you.